Okay, so we're continuing the NRL Wooden Spoon playlist. Now, in this video, we are revisiting the scandalous 2002 NRL season of the Canterbury Bulldogs, otherwise known as the salary cap breach season. Now, had they not been deducted points, they would have actually finished the season with 45 points. In 24 games played, with also including 2 byes, they won 20 games, drew 1 and lost 3. They would have finished with 45 points, which would have been comfortably clear of the New Zealand Warriors and Newcastle Knights, who both finished on 38 points. South Sydney would have got the wooden spoon with just 14 points out of the 24 games that they played. They were bottom up until round 23, where things changed. So what ends up happening is after round 23, the Canterbury Bulldogs are punished for their salary cap breach, which we will look at in a separate video, but this has some very interesting consequences. So they're stripped of 37 of 41 points at the time that they had acquired. This was in the middle of a 17-game win streak they were on at the time. This was a record-breaking win streak. This team was breaking records on the field. They were also breaking the rules off the field. Not only were they stripped of their competition points, they were also fined $500,000 Australian dollars. Now, this meant several things happened. 1, South Sydney don't get the wooden spoon. 2, the New Zealand Warriors win their first ever minor premiership. And 3, the Canberra Raiders made the finals with a points differential of a minus of 170, which was a record-breakingly bad differential. I don't think any team has ever been that bad and got to the finals since. And they only had 1 away win. So, the fact that the Canterbury Bulldogs were caught sent shockwaves through the sport. It did. And we will look in more depth at the salary cap breach in a separate video. But what is very, very interesting is, looking at it, this team, I could look at the stats and go, this team should be classed as immortals. And they would go on to have success following this disastrous, scandalous season. Now, the fact that the NRL waited until so late in the season to punish them, we can debate whether that was the right or wrong thing, and you could question David Gallop's judgment there and the NRL board. The fact they weren't stripped of all competition points, but the majority of their competition points, is a bit of a head scratcher as well. But as I say, it did have consequences. South Sydney, who were dreadful, didn't get the wooden spoon. The Canberra Raiders should not have made the finals. They did. And the New Zealand Warriors won a minor premiership that is somewhat tainted because they weren't the best team on the field. Now, what would actually happen in subsequent seasons is there'll be further salary cap breaches. So when I do further videos in regards to wooden spoons, there are some that have asterisks, like this season of the Canterbury Bulldogs. But as I say, no wooden spoonist has ever won 17 games in a row. This is why this is a unique situation. And I do think, 21 years on, I don't think the NRL has truly fixed their salary cap system. And the punishments for salary cap breaches are very, very wide-ranging and very inconsistent, as the Melbourne Storm and Parramatta Eels will show in due course in the following decade and a half. But, fantastic on-field record. It was their off-field dramas that cost them the chance of a minor premiership and potential grand final, because this team seemed unstoppable at the time, and they would go on to have success following this season. And a lot of fans, when they hear NRL salary cap breach, they think Parramatta and they think Melbourne Storm. And the way the NRL dealt with each individual incident, there is no consistency. People at the time thought this punishment was harsh. Other people thought it was too lenient. Melbourne Storm, again, there's the debate raging there. Was it too harsh? Was it too lenient? The Parramatta Eels, that was a shambles. And there have been other salary cap breaches that have barely registered in the grand scheme of things. So, yes, it was a scandalous season. All that hard work on the field, because it's not the players' fault that the board and their employers were breaking the rules. Now, maybe individual players may have known that they were on dodgy contracts, but it didn't break the unity of the team. As we will find out in later NRL history, this team went on to be very, very successful. South Sydney were dreadful for a while as a bottom feeder, and we'll probably find South Sydney again. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts on the 2002 season below. Are you a Raiders fan where you're like, how have we made the finals? We're dreadful. New Zealand Warriors fan. Was this peak New Zealand Warriors? Have they quite achieved those heights ever again? Probably not. And the punishment. Until we actually look into the actual causes of the breach and what the investigation found, was the punishment fair? Was it justified? Was it inconsistent with subsequent punishments for salary cap breaches? There's a lot to break down from this 2002 season, but from me, thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comment section below, and we will be revisiting the salary cap breach of the Canterbury Bulldogs, and we'll actually have a more in-depth look at what went on 21 years ago. But from me, for now, goodbye.